Babies, my babies, how are we today? Shall we get on with this? Today's video is about getting rejected from the conservatory. Huh. Oh, everything that I avoided studying suddenly became interesting. All right. So, uh, I think what I'm pointing out is the rejection of me getting rejected from the conservatory. Everything I've avoided suddenly became interesting. All right. I think this should be one of the highlights of this book because for the past 2 weeks I was kind of like I got into the mood of seeing the past 2 years of my studies being the past 3 years of my studies actually, or whatever it is I've been researching and kind of like talking about and discussing and learning, has become legitimately what I should have studied when I first entered college, right? And so the way I describe it, and I described it today, is basically you enter college and you kind of prepare for whatever career you want. And effectively, I did the opposite. I basically went and I fucked around for like 18 years, even though I went to college. But I fucked around for 18 years, and whatever I studied in college kind of did not sink in. Or right now, everything that I'm studying that I would have been interested to take maybe in college, but the only reason I was interested is because of my experience, allowed me to kind of like apply these apply whatever I've been researching and studying onto what happened over the past 18 years and systematically kind of like change the storyline of the failures, successes, the events and the issues that I went through, which is in a way compartmentalizing. I don't know if I should use this word. I'm going to search for its specific meaning. Okay. So effectively, what I did was I'm destructuring my past and rewriting the story based on the knowledge that I have right now. So it's an active effort. And this note is, let me explain the day. I was walking towards my house, which is like an hour and a half, towards my parents' house, sorry, which is like an hour and a half away. And on my way there, I passed a point where a space, an area where it's blocked because of the war and the revolutions and all that stuff. But inside, there's a music conservatory. So I heard the music and I was like, oh, I remember I searched for it a couple of times. I never actually went there. So I was like, since I'm walking and I'm in the area, let me just do it. For some fucking reason, if I'm in a car, I kind of like just flow in the direction that I'm going. I don't pause. But because I'm walking, I was like, might as well, like, an hour and a half walking. What's 10 minutes on the side, right? Funny to think about it this way because once we're moving fast, we don't really branch out left and right. We continue in one direction. But if we're moving slow, it's easier for us to kind of like make sense to take a stop and do something else. Funny because that's how you kind of like gain experience and build your momentum for the speed you're going to go later. It's an interesting take. But so I walked inside and was like, "Hey guys, I've been learning guitar on my own for the past 3 years, and I'm really interested in just kind of like diving into music differently and kind of like taking classes and like seeing what's going on." And the guy looked at me, he goes like, "Can you read music?" And I'm like, "No, but like, I never dove into it that way because I never took it seriously. But I know music theory and I know how to play the guitar and I know how to do notes and all that good stuff." And he looks at me, he goes like, "I'm sorry, you're too old. We will not be able to like let you in. Thank you very much for your time. Fuck off." And I was like standing there going like, I have more questions. And he goes like, it's fine, like if you can come sometime within this time frame. He was busy, but he didn't tell me fuck off, he told me goodbye. It felt very much like, what are you doing here? This is not your place, rejection. And I get it, musicians are kind of like elitists in their own ways. Because once you kind of like learn some form of mastery, it kind of like separates you from something, from different parts. And for them, it's very expressive, right? Like an artist is able to kind of like paint and he'll show you his skills visually. In music, they can actually like play music and they can make you hear their skill. And but that triggered something in me, and kind of like I looked at it in a way where everything that I've always tried to avoided, in my life because I've said I wanted to learn the guitar when I was 15, and I actually got a guitar and I started doing something with it. But the guy that was teaching me was just teaching me how to shred. And what he did basically in every class, he would shred in front of me for like 45 minutes, which was his daily practice, charge me for the time, and for 15 minutes I'd be like, and trying to do something. Completely demotivational, completely fucked up. It's perfectly fine. He was a kid who was just trying to show off his skills and all that good stuff. So, anyways, the interesting take was the fact that I realized that almost everything I've avoided back then is right now something that's very interesting to me. It's like I actually want to spend time on these things. And I probably processed it in a certain way as as I continued going to my parents' house. So I would say imagine if instead of being taught something when we were kids, we were kind of like inspired to kind of like learn it on our own instead of just do homework, because effectively like when school gives you homework, what they're doing is they're giving you the practice of whatever it is you're reading in order for you to be able to do it, and then eventually it makes sense in your head because we understand it without the limitations of the brain. Their authority is what's guiding us to the end result, and by the time we reach the end result, the idea is hopefully we understand what the fuck we're doing. But that's not the case. Almost everyone I speak to that has studied engineering but didn't really work in the field of engineering completely forgot what they studied in school. They just remembered that they studied engineering. And it happens everywhere. Like when it came to business, I completely did not. I remember bits and pieces of business of what I studied, but everything I tried to apply when I actually traveled was literally what I was like testing in front of me. So I found myself creating the experience and learning from it. The knowledge came beforehand. I completely like had no idea what the I completely forgot what the knowledge was because there was no place. One of my favorite programmers that's on YouTube, basically he says it does not stick. It doesn't stick as in like in your mind doesn't really like create the map that allows it to move. And that train of thought happened because I probably was arrogant enough to be like, now that I'm interested, the people that teach are gonna come and actually teach me. But they made it a point I should have been interested 30 years ago or 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was still young and like when it was worthy of their time for them to teach me. And because my money is just as green as everyone else, right? It's scarce right now, but it's just as green. But the idea behind it is they would not teach me for the sake of money. They would not spend time on me for the sake of money. So why would they reject me? Well, they didn't want the money, but they rejected me. And it's not like they didn't want the money. They wanted the money, but they wanted the money for somebody younger and just basically with a future, I guess. And so it feels like they assumed that I'm not really learning music to become a musician, or they assumed, given my age, it would not be worth it for them simply because they will have to their investment would only yield the cash input on a daily basis. I wonder what their end result would look like if I was like younger, teaching me music. For what purpose? For them to say that they did? For them to say that, hey man, he is my pupil? Is their ambition to kind of train the future like virtuosos of the country or something like this? Is this kind of like, I don't know? Is this kind of like the okay? So what I'm trying to consider right now is me getting rejected for money because they didn't care for the money. What is their vision? and how my vision basically towards what I want to do kind of like feels in regards to what I'm accepting towards it. Does that make sense? I'm asking that out loud because I don't know if that makes sense for me. What is it that I actually would want to do void of money? Well, like for me, it makes sense, and I wouldn't care. I'd still be working on whatever it is. I'd still be talking about it, working on it, like trying to add stuff to it as we progress. Is that the same for them when it comes to the people they're picking? For rejection is a heavy thing, especially when somebody's interested, but on what basis? They clearly just were like, you don't know how to read music, so we're not really interested in teaching you that stuff. You're not young enough. But as for everything else, how do I reject things and how did I deal with rejection? Clearly I wrote a note about rejection, right? Like I used getting rejected from the music conservatory. So it was very much the rejection that I was like highlighting. But what is it about like that rejection that triggered something in me that allowed me to kind of like explore all the things I rejected as a kid, and right now I'm super interested in. I don't know, is this a video? Fuck. Some notes could be like this, man. We have to manage. Bye. It's a video.